Good morning, I'm Chris Fox. Welcome to day 8 of the 21-day novel challenge. So we are a little over halfway through the first draft, yay! Things are going great, and I'm pretty excited to get started on the writing today. This video is going to be a little bit different than some of the ones that you have already seen, because you're going to see more of my face, and that's because I have a couple of soapbox topics I want to get into. So the first one has to do with branding. I've gotten some excellent feedback in the video comments and on my blog from a lot of you. And one of the things that I thought was funny, I'm just going to read you a couple of comments. This is about the cover for Book 2, Void Wraith. The Book 2 cover looks like a Cylon Raider. I'll let you decide if that's a good thing or not. I would lean towards saying that it isn't a good thing. To answer that, it does look a lot like a Cylon Raider, and it looks a lot like a Cylon Raider because I told the artist, make this look like a Cylon Raider, only mix in some Protoss from StarCraft. And I did that because in a reader's mind, you can take something that they already like and associate your book with it by making it visually similar. And to me, to my mind, that's totally okay to do. But here was what I found interesting, because a related question from Jim Johnson, a friend of mine, had kind of an interesting twist on it, and here's what he had to say. Interesting that you would change Riker to push away the Next Generation connection from Star Trek, but keep the Cylon-like ship and hold on to the BSG connection. And I think that's an excellent observation. Why would I capitalize on the ship on the cover, but change a name that's associated with another property? The reason for that is similar is not equal to the same. Using the name Riker is the same. It is the same character from the Next Generation. And if I were to plug that into this book, a certain segment of the audience is always going to think that this is William Riker, the commander of the Enterprise. And they're not going to be able to shake that. And so I wanted to avoid that association because it sort of typecasts a character in a certain way. And you might be able to make it work, but I don't think it's worth going there. So that was why I decided to change that name. So I think branding is a tricky subject, and it remains to be seen whether or not I'm making the right decisions. I may not be. But I do think that I can get away with using a Cylon Raider-like cover. I don't think I can get away with using a name like Riker, and I guess time will tell whether or not that's true. So that's my 2 cents on that whole thing. The next portion of the video will also be my face, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about time management, and accomplishing big goals. Back in August of 2015, I left for the John Muir Trail, which is a grueling 200-mile high-altitude hike where you're out there 8 to 10 hours a day hiking across mountain passes with a 40-pound pack on your back. It's extreme, and I'm not going to get into that trip, but before I went on that trip, I wrote a blog post called The Value of Time. And this reflects on the major shift in mindset and in life that I've taken over the last 5 years. So 5 years ago, I was 100 pounds heavier. I hadn't dated in several years. I lived in a demilitarized zone of an apartment that was just destroyed. We lost the war on the fridge. We wouldn't open our fridge because it was that disgusting. It was your typical gamer stoner household where we would spend our evenings, getting high and playing World of Warcraft. And that was pretty much my life. And I would go to work every day and I would see other people doing things with their lives, and I always had a but. I always had a reason why they were able to do it and I wasn't. I would look at somebody who was in incredible physical shape and say, man, they must spend all this time at the gym. If I had the time to go to the gym, I bet I would look like that too. And the major shift for me came when I realized we all have one resource in common. And that resource is time. If you look at somebody who's got the washboard stomach, they've got, the abs, they're in perfect shape, they have the same number of hours in the day as we do. And when I realized that, I came to the understanding that priorities are all that separates the people who are out there doing really crazy stuff from us. And once I adopted that mindset, I started making some pretty big shifts. So I started going to the gym and lifting heavy weights. And before very long, I noticed, hey, wait a minute, I have muscles. I started figuring out that if I wanted to lose weight, I needed to track the calories that I ate. If I burned 3,000 calories in a day and I only ate 2,000 calories, then the weight just melted off. It was a mathematical formula. So that's why, if you fast forward to today, I got up at 5 a.m. this morning. I didn't think about it. I didn't have to battle with the alarm. There was no hitting the snooze button. This has become a standard for me. I woke up at 5 a.m., I put on my sneakers, I went to the gym, and I worked out for an hour. It's hard to do that at first, but it gets easier over time. If you can make yourself get into a habit, a routine, anything that you want to do to change your life and then do it consistently, it will get done. And some days are enormously difficult. If you look back at this video series, you'll see at least 2 days where I did not want to write. And yet, here we are on day 8. I'm over halfway through this novel, and I am 100% confident that by this day next week, by the time we hit day 15, I will have a completed first draft and will be well into the editing phase. That is only possible because I'm willing to put in the enormous amount of time and energy to do so. And I would suggest that you consider doing the same thing. If you want to write a novel in 2016, take a look at your current day, whatever it is that you're doing, and ask yourself, can you find a 10-minute window? If you found a 10-minute window, and in that 10-minute window you wrote 200 words a day, you could write an entire novel by the end of the year. So if you start it right now, you could have this novel finished by the end of the year, and all you're giving up between now and the time that you complete this novel is 10 minutes a day. So the lesson here is get started. We all have exactly the same amount of time in our lives, and how we choose to spend that time is really what matters the most. It's going to pass anyway. The years will roll by. You'll hit 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 or whatever age you're at. You're just going to keep aging. Nobody gets out alive. So ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish? And today, as you watch this video, I want you to ask yourself a question. What are you doing today to accomplish whatever big dream is in your life? Is that writing? How many words did you get down today? I would love to hear from you. So post in the comments, send me an email, let me know. Any victory, no matter how small, is a victory, and you get momentum and you can build on there. So I know that that motivation is probably not something you were expecting in today's video, but it's something I needed to say based on a few emails I've gotten. You guys can do this. There's nothing special about me. Everything that you see me doing here is within your grasp as well. Okay, on to the recap. So days like today are why I write. I had so much fun today. I've reached a point in the plot where everything is coming together, and it's basically one long fight from here on out. So I'm knocking on the entryway to Act 3. I'm dealing with some major crises in the plot. People are getting shot, soldiers are dying, aliens are invading. It's everything that I wanted to do when I was doing space opera / military sci-fi. And I'm having so much fun doing it. So today I cranked out about 5,400 words, which was enough to cover almost all of the shortfall from yesterday, as you'll see in the screencast portion of the video that'll follow this. But just this before we get there, I feel so privileged to be able to get to do this for a living. This is amazing. The challenge as a whole has been difficult. Writing as many words every single day without fail as I'm doing is hard, as is documenting this. A lot of work goes into these videos. But I love it. I love it. I love that I get to do this, and I just wanted to say thank you to the world at large, to anyone who has ever bought one of my books or will buy one of my books, because you let people like me have the best job in the world. All right, well, without further ado, let's get on to the screencast portion of the video. Okay, well, as you can see, I am just shy of 40,000 words into this book. Taking a look here at the plot, I don't think we're going to get 30,000 more words out of this, so I'm hoping we'll finish up around 60,000 words. But if you'll notice, because I have not adjusted that goal, it says 8 hours until project completion. And I am averaging 2 hours a day writing. So that means that even if we were aiming for 70,000 words, I'd be finished by the end of Friday. Because the book is going to be shorter, I may finish even sooner than that. I could do this in 10 or 11 days. So I guess we'll see this week what that holds for us. As far as the stats go, still holding steady around 3,600 words per hour, which I'm very happy with. Today's sprints were clean and fun. Most of them were at least 800 words. A couple were over 1,000. It's longer chapters now that I'm into the end of the book, which is a lot of fun to write. So I'm at the point where all of my rising action is sort of having its payoff. It's one long combat, and these are tons of fun to write. So taking a look at the chapters that I did today, we started with Boarded, Boarded 2, Stealth Ship, Strange Bedfellows, Machine Shop, and then finally Hold. So as I was writing these chapters, I ended up having to drop in a couple more because I looked at how the action was going, realized I need a few different points of view. So this has been somewhat modified, and I expected I would finish Act 2 today, but I ended up adding 2 more chapters, so I'm not quite done. So tomorrow, definitely, I'll finish the last little bit of Act 2, and we'll get into Act 3, which I'm very excited about. I think the rest of the book, everything from here forward, is going to be a blast to write. Most of this has been fun, but this is all the payoff that I get to do now. So I'm very, very pleased that you guys will be taking that journey with me. That brings us to the end of day 8, and it is on to day 9.